We have been building the Wordle project from the WiByte Python curriculum available at www.wibyte.in. In fact, we are almost at the end of this. Our game is quite solidly placed right now. We have all the labels being formed correctly. We have lots of logic here to make sure the labels get the right color. We have been talking about this in the last few classes, last few videos. However, in this video, we'll just complete this game because there are certain strange things about our game right now which I want to look at. Let's say the guessed word is after. I will go with my regular, let's say, sequence that I go with. So party, music, and let's say honed. Now, with these three, I know I've got A, R, T, and E in the this word, and I know E is in the right place. Let's try. Let's say fast. You know, it tells me, well, look, F and A are in the word. So I really know it's A, R, T, E, F. So I can guess this correct. I can say it's after. Of course, it helped that I knew. But the strange thing now is that I've got it correct. But even after this, I can keep guessing this. And that is really strange. Ideally, we would like the game to sort of freeze at this point and, no more, let's say, guesses. And we should tell the user that, look, you won this game. Uh, on the other hand, I could in fact keep guessing this as many times, even though I got them wrong. So that's also a little bit strange. We're going to fix that. We are going to basically code the ending conditions in this game. Uh, Now, really, the game comes to an end in one of these two situations. While number one, the player guesses the word correctly, which happened here, or let's say the player runs out of chances to guess the word. Both cases, the game must get over. In one case, we can say player won. In one case, we say player lost. However, just to be sort of a little bit balanced here, we won't count the invalid words in counting the number of guesses because that's how even the Wordle works. Now, in either of these conditions, we would want to give a message to a player, and maybe like you won or you lost. Let's see how we do all of this in code. It's not hard at all, but we just have to be a little bit careful and implement this carefully. So first thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to put a label which I can display message on. So I just call it, let's say, result label, and this is going to be like tk dot say label. And the text here when the game starts, text, I'm going to keep it as say empty, so nothing in the text. Remember, always define and then place. Let me just use this over here. So I come in here and I say, well, result label dot grid. I'm going to set this as row number 101. That's because I want the result to appear below this button. Remember, button itself was 100, so I just make it 101. Now, when I come to the main code where all the action is going on, I need to figure out the two conditions. One, have I guessed the word correctly, or have I run out of chances that I have? First, let's see how I can figure out if the word has been guessed correctly. In fact, that's not hard because remember, this entire code runs every time we click guess, and I basically go letter by letter. If I can find out that 5 times I came into this part of the code, hence all 5 became green, I know I've got the word correct. So I can just do that by saying, okay, let's define a local variable here called, let's say, correct, set it to 0. Now remember, this will get set to 0 every time the button is clicked. And all I need to do is that once I reach, let's say, this position, I just say correct is equal to correct plus 1. Now, which means that if I guess the word correctly, correct would be equal to 5. Now, let us work on the next condition, which is to say I'm going to limit the number of tries. Now, you know that the number of tries is contained in this variable guess number, but as I mentioned, we want to avoid counting those tries which are not valid. So basically, I come in here, I kind of move the code a little bit. Remember, this if else is for a word being valid. So first thing I check is if the word is valid, and I say, okay, let's do all the counting only in that case. So I let the entire code be as it is. I just indent it to be sort of here. And I ask myself a question. Well, look, what is the condition in which I am ending this game? The first condition, like I said, is that the player has guessed this correct. So I just put this, okay, look, if correct is equal to 5, which means the word has been guessed correctly, I am going to, uh, I'm going to just set the guess button dot say config, and I'm going to say, look, I need to disable this button, and I do that by saying state is equal to disabled. Now we will see what this does. is very clear. Basically, the button will get disabled. At the same time, the result label dot configure. So I'm going to change the text on the result label. Say text is equal to say u1, because this is a case where the player has won the game. Now notice that I have put this in an if condition. The next condition that I have to worry about is that my guess num becomes more than, let's say, a certain number. Let's say my guess num becomes, let's say I've already made 6 guesses. Now in this case, remember the guess num starts on 0. If I want to allow 6 guesses, I am going to put an elif condition over here. Now this is quite interesting actually. I say elif guess num is equal to, let's say, 5. Because guess them starting on 0, so 0 1 2 3 4 5. If I have made 6 guesses, once again the same things must happen. Of course the message would change, so I'll disable the button, all right, but I will tell the message to be as you lost. Now finally, if none of this happens, then I just go and put, let's say, else my code from here, which was guess num becomes guess num plus 1. Now notice this is a bit different from what we are doing earlier, because now the guess num won't increase for invalid cases, because now we are using guess num not just for placing these labels, but we are in fact deciding the fate of the game based on this guess num. First, let's see this working. After that, we'll talk a little bit about the sequencing here, because that is very, very important. Let's say the word is pairs, and I will go with my regular method. Say party, so P and A and R is also there. I try say honed, none of this is there. I try music, so music. So I see, in fact, it's pretty nice now. I know P and A are here. RISS are in the word. So let's say I, tried perhaps Paris. I don't know if that's seen as a valid word. That's an invalid word. Nothing happened on the, screen. That's why. But I did get a message invalid word. So I just try pairs because it's kind of, logical. And I get this word in here. Notice what happened here. This button has been disabled, and I get a message you won. That's because I hit this condition. If correct is equal to 5, then you won this game. Let's try the other scenario where I run out of tries. Let's say the word is chalk. I'll just try to, deliberately get wrong. Let's say in this case, music. Let's say I try party. I try, for example, honed. Let's say I try, let's say pulse. Let's just, for the sake of it, and I try for perhaps, let's say, stats. I'm just trying some words just for the, sake of losing actually here. So here, let's say I try the next case, which is say tears. And notice the moment I ran out of guesses, again, I lost the game. That's because this time round I came into this elif. If guess number is 5, the button got disabled and I got a message you lost, which is logical because now I can no longer enter anything into this. I made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guesses, and after that the game got over. Now while this looks quite easy, it's interesting to understand that this placement of if elif is actually quite important. Let's say, and I'll demonstrate that here. Let's say I say get this reversed. Now notice here I have guess num equals to 5 being checked before I check for correct. The word is flyer, so I'm just going to intentionally, let's say go with my regular sequence, say music, say party, and say honed. Now I know I'm going to get there, so let's just try one more, guess here. Remember, I've already made 3 guesses, so I have to be a little bit careful. But let's say I just try, for example, say total, just for the sake of it, and let's say I try. So this has been 4. If I want to try, let's say smart, again, I'm just guessing something just to kind of get to the point. Now, let's say magically, I know the word is flyer, and obviously, I would have guessed this a bit more carefully if I, went through this game in reality. Now, notice here, I got the word correct, but still it told me you lost. That's because my guess num was being checked first, and in an if elif else statement, whatever comes first gets done, remaining gets ignored. So, very interesting point here. In this case, what's happening is that I checked for guess num being equal to 5. Indeed, that was the case. I lost, but in fact, I had won, and which is why I told you this code is the right one, and we will go with this. So let me just uncomment this here, so that we don't make a mistake over here. Now, now your game is complete. We got a nice word, glory, coming out there. Um, Obviously, this can be enhanced in many ways. For example, you could tell the invalid words a bit more creatively. Maybe you can give a more interesting message, or you can create another label for this. We have done this already, limiting the number of guesses. You can create a virtual keyboard. That will be really cool. You can give the player a clearer indication of the letters that have been guessed. That helps. You can give a rating or score based on the number of guesses, how long it did take to get to correct, let's say, correct guess. You can have some specialized themes for your game. You can have a help button to display the right answer, or there are many other Wordle variants enhancements out there. You could try those as well. However, remember, keep in mind always that bonus comes after basic. This activity, as we saw, has a lot of concepts starting from Tkinter, going to say string manipulations, to very interesting logic to get all the labels in the right place. Go through this step by step manner. Very happy to discuss any aspects of this. I hope you'll find this interesting. And in general, if you think this way of learning works for you, where we learn by building activities, by applying concepts, look at our website, because we always learn Python programming through such fun activities. Take care. Thank you so much. Bye bye.